Florida is looking for a new head coach after firing Billy Napier, like a month or two ago or whatever. And not only are they looking for someone who can lead the team, but they're also trying to turn their five-star quarterback, DJ Lagway, into a bona fide star in college football. Naturally, Florida is all in on Lane Kiffin for that, but Kiffin has been flirting a lot with LSU lately, and it seems like, according to reports that from people like Ross Dellinger, Florida might get left without a date to the dance, while LSU might get the hottest date on the market. Just ignore that I called Dan Lanning hot there, or Dan Lanning, that I called Lane Kiffin hot there. I don't know. This whole situation just like screams. I saw somebody relate it to The Bachelor as well. This whole situation is kind of crazy with everything, but that's Lane Kiffin for you. To me, this screams middle school dance vibes, but it does, and I just kind of find it hilarious. So in this situation, if Kiffin does go to LSU, Florida is left with a few options on the table. They could go back to get another G5 head coach, which seems unlikely after the Billy Napier debacle. I know John Summerall's name is being used out there a little bit. He's probably the only G5 coach they would go after, or they could make Urban Meyer an offer that he cannot refuse, and or you know, these guys are the guys that are making the videos about and everything else. They could go after two of the best QB gurus in all of the country, in Lincoln Riley and Jedd Fisch, and that's really who the video is about. We're going to get into all of that and talk about those two, but before we do, please do like and subscribe to the Big Ten Huddle. We cover the entire Big Ten Conference, bring you information and analysis on the biggest stories and rumors that pertain to the Big Ten. We also push back against SEC bias of the national media and how absurd they can be a lot of the time. So if you're into that kind of stuff, join us here and comment your thoughts about Riley and Fisch below. Okay. So USC head coach Lincoln Riley has been quite the popular topic on Florida message boards over this last month. And not just Florida message boards, there's others as well, but Florida kind of seems to be the one zoning in on him the most. Jedd Fisch has been mentioned too, but with his lack of playoff appearances and overwhelming success, he seems to be a less valued by some fans. Fisch, of course, graduate from Florida, got his master's there, been long thought of as a coach who would like to have the job at some point. And actually, PFF analyst Max Chadwick even went as far to predict that Fisch would be the next head coach at Florida. He said, and I quote, this is exactly what he said: "I don't think Jedd Fisch would leave for UCLA. I think he would leave for Florida." Max went on to speculate that the Florida job is better than Washington, although, Washington was just in a national championship 2 years ago, and Florida hasn't had a 10-win season ever since COVID. I mean, their last one was prior to COVID, but, whatever. Better job, I guess. Who, is what it is. But which also makes it puzzling why Lincoln Riley would leave USC for Florida as well. But I stand on my take from the beginning with Lincoln Riley leaving USC. If it happens, it'll be more USC's decision rather than Lincoln Riley's decision. I'll expand on that a little bit later. But, there are some fans that are upset with Riley, and although he has improved from his second year, he almost made the playoffs his first year, but he's improved from his second year. It's also fair for USC to expect them to be more of contenders for the playoff each year. USC kind of contenders this year, but not the entire season, as they've kind of fallen off here. They're playing UCLA. Nobody expects them to make the playoffs if they win this game. But that is also where Riley's frustration is with not necessarily UCLA, but the situation UCLA. It's not necessarily with USC, but the situation USC is in. And Washington is in a similar situation too, where away games in the Big Ten are they are no joke. The Big Ten teams do not get enough credit for going away and winning some of these games. Riley and Fisch both improved on the road this year, but both lost key road games that are keeping them out of the playoff discussion. Washington lost the two with Wisconsin and Michigan. It wasn't so much that they lost to Michigan, it was more so how much they lost to Michigan in that one. While USC, they had the loss to Illinois. I think it's fair to say that Washington is a better team than Wisconsin. I don't think anybody's going to argue that too much, although Wisconsin playing good ball here to end the season. And USC is a better team than Illinois. I say that as somebody who covers Illinois. I think that's fair to say. Washington is at worst even with Michigan in my mind, the explosion of the offense and everything else. But going on the road in college football is difficult anywhere, but the multiple time zone travels make it even tougher in the Big Ten, especially if you're a West Coast team. So making no cross country road game in the Big Ten is a given. You can just ask Penn State to UCLA. I mean, that completely derailed their season. All of this to say that Fisch and Riley do have legitimate reasons for why they might want to leave and go someplace else. I don't think that they're great reasons, but it could be a legitimate reason. Fisch seems more likely due to Florida being his alma mater and how much he has moved around in his career as a coach, not really staying anywhere longer than 3 years, at least recently not staying anywhere longer than 3 years. ESPN will, of course, try to push the narrative that Florida is a better job than Washington, and they'll probably even try to push that it's a better job than USC. And while it certainly has some better aspects to it, Fisch is certainly being compensated well at Washington. $54 million for, it was either 6 or 7 years, and he has a fan base that is very realistic with their expectations. They want good, and they want to see their team flourish, but they're also realistic. But it's Riley who would be making a real big mistake, in my opinion, if he left USC. He has a huge buyout that will keep him safe. He has the number one recruiting class in the country and investment from the administration, improving facilities, which is always a great sign because if you are investing now, just imagine how much more they will continue to invest as you win more and more. This is key because according to Florida insiders, Riley is the second choice behind Lane Kiffin. There's some out there saying Eli Drinkwitz, John Summerall, but it sounds like some of these insiders are saying it's Lincoln Riley. This rumor has become so big that even Kirk Herbstreit openly talked about it on a game broadcast, and Riley was actually asked about it, but Riley, he shut it down immediately, quickly saying, quote, "Oh yeah, 100%. Like I said before, I'm right where I'm supposed to be," end quote. So Lincoln Riley said, per the LA Times, that quote. So yeah, this is the next part of the quote. I apologize. So yeah, that's like nothing other than what we're building. Literally, love being here. Yeah, that's really the end of it. End quote there. So now coaches have said much more and left. This answer doesn't mean Riley is 100% staying, but I will say it's a good sign and only reiterates my take from the beginning that if Riley leaves, it's not because he doesn't think USC is the right job or it's on his own. To be clear, I think it's because USC wants him to go. I'm not saying he will be fired. All right. The buyout is far too large for that to happen. I'm saying USC would essentially tell Riley to move on and take the Florida job and try to save the buyout. I can't see that happening with the number one recruiting class and all the head coach owning up, all the head coach openings and the cycle and everything else, because like it or not, the question who you're going to get is a real one. DeBoer might be the only coach who makes sense to go to go that way, but you'd be fighting a lot with Penn State over him. Although I do think USC is a great job, I don't think Marcus Freeman, or would you really want Marcus Freeman or any other playoff caliber coach is going to be leaving, moving for in this cycle. So plus USC would be entering the game late, and not as late as Michigan or UCLA did a couple years ago, but still late, which is not a proven great strategy, especially with how many big name schools there are looking at all this right now. So for that, I think Riley stays put. I'm not ready to say Fisch is gone from Washington, but I do think that it's more likely. Some might, it's more likely than some might think. As always, as things develop, you can keep it here. Eli Drinkwitz is most likely to be gone from Missouri, in my opinion, unless he gets that contract extension, which there's some rumors about that happening. It depends where, as that could impact all of this as well. If Drinkwitz does go, if he doesn't get the extension, so we'll see how it plays out, and we'll keep you up to date on all of it. And whatever your thoughts are on Lincoln Riley, Jedd Fisch possibly leaving. You think Washington's a better job than Florida? You think USC's a better job than Florida? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.